Joining me on the program now from the Maxim Institute, Maryanne Spurdle. Maryanne, kia ora, good morning.
Good morning, Andrew.
So you voted, I'm sure. I mean, being the caring about democracy and all these sorts of things. I know the Maxim Institute's pretty big on democracy. So you engage with the process. What's your technique, Maryanne?
My technique? Oh, well, I read the voter pamphlet.
Yeah.
Although I think my main reason has less to do with being a good citizen and more to do with there are always a few winners, not in the political sense, but in the they're just so incredibly amazing that I have to read them to find them. I find those and I don't vote for them.
Okay.
That's part of my strategy.
As a process of elimination, find the weirdest people that you're going, what? You actually put that in your candidate profile and you want people to vote for you? There are certainly some shocking ones. Any standouts this year, Maryanne?
Well, my favorite, probably my all-time favorite,
Yep.
and I don't want to name and shame people, but they actually put themselves out there, so I think this is okay. Denise Woodison, she said, "I stand for Parliament with a heart full of aroha."
Cool.
I don't know if she's figured out yet that she wasn't running for Parliament. I don't know who told her that. If they did, I would have loved to have seen that conversation. The fact that we had someone running for mayor of Auckland who thought she was running for Parliament, and 3,489 people voted for her.
Wow.
Over 3,000 people voted for somebody who didn't even know what she was running for.
So did she get into Parliament then? Or
if she comes back next year, maybe. And then my other favorite was Peter Wakeman. He wrote that Palestinians, women, and children are being killed, starved, bombed, shot with insufficient housing in New Zealand.
What?
So now our housing crisis is wreaking havoc overseas.
I mean, hey, both serious problems, but conflating them seems... did ChatGPT write possibly a little bit of that?
I think ChatGPT would have fixed that if he'd run it through. He probably should have.
Grammarly would have fixed that as well, I think, yeah.
We all don't want people to be shot, killed, and starved. However, if you're running for mayor of Auckland, how on earth do you think your opinion on that, first of all, is going to lure voters? Although 1,580 people did vote for him.
Yeah, exactly. And there was a lot of people on the protest march. There was a lot of people in the protest march. Maybe he thought, well, there's my people. I'll get them to vote for me for Parliament. There was a comedian, I understand, in West Auckland who was standing for local council because he lost a bet. And in his campaign specifically says, I'm not qualified to do this job. I don't want to do this job. Please don't vote for me. And he got his wish. Very few people actually voted for him. So I think that's a win, sort of, isn't it?
Yeah. He said, this is not reverse psychology. Definitely don't. So the fact that we've got people running for positions based on a bet. Yeah. That I don't know if I love that or hate that.
I also saw another candidate. This is in Waitemata electorate who, his profile looked fine, and I'm sure he was genuine. But had a link to his website to find out more information about what he did, and it had his name and then tries his hand at politics. So again, there's a whole bunch of fun in that. And hey, it's too late to put this strategy in place. People have either voted or not voted. The shocking news is it's a downward spiral towards apathy. Record low turnouts in many parts of the country, particularly urban centres again this year.
Yeah. And I think that really tells us something because, I mean, Auckland, we had fewer than 30%, 28.8.
Wow.
Rural turnout was 43.6, which is, still less than half. However, there's definitely a correlation between being part of your community, knowing the people who you're voting for, being invested in what local government is doing because it affects your life. And in the urban centers, and I do wonder, maybe our catchments are geographically too small. I've got a 10-minute commute to work here, and I come from one local board area, drive through another, and end up in a third. Yeah. And my life kind of encompasses several of them, and I'm not particularly up on what any of them are doing on the, I hear bits and pieces. We're just not connected enough to what local government's doing. We're not aware enough. And then people are not always looking for people who have the skills to actually look at the services that we need
Yeah.
and have the diplomacy needed to find solutions to things. They're voting based on, for some people, random things like, international affairs, which have nothing to do with the job. And you've got people applying who've got no relevant skills for the job.
Mm. It is an interesting one, but honestly, some of the voter turnout in some parts of the country, there were some mayors that were voted back with huge majorities. Others were kicked out. There was a lot of cases of particularly mayors who lost their seats. Some people are drawing the thread between, well, that's what rates rise will do for you.
Yeah. That's definitely got to play into it because if you're not managing the money well and people are finding their lives are getting more expensive and they're getting, fewer rubbish pickups and all the
Yeah,
rest, you've got to ask what are they doing with this year's the first time I actually looked up what they get paid, and there's like a range of what they get paid.
yeah,
And it's not shabby. You'd hope that people in those roles would actually be putting our money to work.
yeah.
Here's an interesting stat. The amount of money that councils, the spending power, all the councils, $200 billion.
What?
Like that's, if you combine all local election
Hmm.
people we elect, the money that they manage, they've got 39,400 staff and $20 billion spending. That's what our rates are going into and being spent by. So you kind of want people who can manage well.
Yeah.
We need better candidates. We need people who go, actually, and I know people who do this.
Hmm.
I want to serve my community. They get elected and they're doing good work and we need
Yeah.
more of them because not everywhere is being managed well.
Although, to be fair, I'm not sure we want the situation where everybody on the council is either an accountant or a lawyer or an HR specialist or even a civil engineer. And look, we can make fun of some of the candidates and the profiles, but maybe that's a healthy sign of democracy, where people who are just an average person in the community who's concerned about whether or not their community is safe and whether or not the buses turn up on time. We need those people sitting around the council table as well as the so-called experts and consultants, perhaps.
Definitely. I think the common thread needs to be they care about their communities.
Yeah.
They're there to make them better and they're connected with the people in the community so they know what's actually needed. But we do need some accountants and some people with management skills because I think we have a deficit
Yeah.
based on the outcomes. I'd say we have a deficit of people who can do future planning, who can manage money well. That kind of thing. We need greater accountability for what they're actually doing performance-wise.
Yeah. Although, couldn't they hire accountants? Couldn't they hire people to? But I suppose then we get consultancy fees and all of our rates go up in that regard. Is this a fixable problem, or is this just a part of of modern, particularly suburban life, Maryanne? Are there things we can do to tweak the electoral system to get better engagement? Because it's pretty low-hanging fruit at the moment. It's been made pretty easy for most people.
Yeah, and I think that hasn't made it better. It definitely hasn't. I mean, they've extended the voting period to what, 32 days? They added an extra 10 or something.
Yep.
And fewer people voted. You would have chatted to my colleague Thomas, I think a few months ago. He
Yep.
wrote a column about let's make voting harder, and he was talking about the national elections, but it applies to all of them. Making it too easy actually lowers the investment in it. You go, oh, it's no big deal. And for me, who needs a deadline for things,
Yeah.
having a 32-day window where the papers arrive and you're like, oh yeah, I don't have to get to that until I'm not sure what date.
Hmm.
It ends up on the pile of stuff that comes in the mail, most
Yeah.
of which is not urgent or even interesting. When the pile gets big enough, it goes into recycling.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's now moved into that category of thing in my life,
Yeah.
Maybe make it a shorter period, do more in-person stuff, all of those things that create the impression that you are investing in something,
Yeah.
that it doesn't have to be onerous, just some level of effort, a shorter deadline, make it more like the national elections, not that there are fabulous turnout rates for that as well,
Yeah.
but making the period longer, we ended up with fewer voters. I think we need to have a better idea of what's going on to feel like we should be investing in that. And that comes down to what information people are consuming as well. We don't all read the local newspaper anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they don't even exist anymore. And what people are seeing on Facebook is more geared to international politics than it is to what's going on in your neighborhood, unless you're, part of the community chat.
Yeah.
So I think just reorienting ourselves so that we're paying attention to what's going on in our neighborhoods would be a good start.
Yeah, certainly a good idea in that regard. And hey, most people don't even read the candidate booklets like you do, Maryanne. They just end up in
They're missing out.
that stack of recycling. Yeah, it's honestly it's some of the most interesting junk mail you'll read.
Yeah,
I appreciate
nothing like it.
Exactly. Maryanne, appreciate the work that you've done for democracy. Thanks so much for chatting with us today.
Thanks, Andrew.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.